Alright, we got the cluster in the house. The next step is to remove this chassis for the radio, and there's 4 screws for that, so I'm going to go ahead and remove those. And there's 2 more here. Purple tunnel done. Alright. Now the radio should just loosen up. But it doesn't. Cut. Well, since the radio decided to be ignorant, I had to take the HVAC controls off. There's 3 screws for that. You pull the knobs off the front and it comes right out. Now I'm going to remove the radio by taking out these 4 screws, and the radio should come out forward. So you have to remove that HVAC control to get access to those screws. It makes life a lot easier. Alright, now the radio should come out like so. Okay, now I have taken out this piece, the deflector for the air ducts, and the hazard switch because we had to drive the car to go get some parts, and we needed the hazard switch for the turn signals to work. And we had to take this off to get the hazard switch out. Okay, so the next step is to install the new radio. And to do that, we want to get this here. And this is a retainer for the new trim piece that we're going to put on. And we just kind of want to get this loosely in place. And it's going to actually line up with these screw holes here, which will screw into the chassis of the radio here. Just flip it down. Okay, after wrestling the new trim clip and the radio into the carriage, it comes with these screws here. The factory ones do not work in the radio, so they provided the screws to use. Because you don't want to use screws that are too deep because they could damage the new radio, and you don't want to do that. So this just screws in there like that. If all goes well, this new trim clip here should just snap in. We had to do some trimming around this ring because it was hitting the edge of the radio and it was sticking out. It wasn't fitting flush, so we're going to snap this back in. It's not perfect, but it's pretty close. As you can see here, we were only able to use 1 screw. The reason why is if we used the mounting screws in the radio, this radio would have sat too far back in the carriage, so that's just going to have to work. The next step is going to be to get the wiring set up. This is the harness that came with the radio. This is the adapter harness to go into the vehicle. You need to match up the wiring. They're color coded, so you just match the colors together. Now there's two ways to make the connection. You could use butt connectors, which are okay. You just need to strip back this wire and you put one end on here and one end on this side and crimp them together. But we're going to solder them and use heat shrink tubing because it'll be a little bit better installation. Okay, this is the heat shrink tubing that we're going to be using. And it comes in a, I think it's an 8-foot roll. It's about $6. It's fairly cheap. About like that. I'm going to put it over my wire. Okay, I'm going to heat the wire up and hold the solder to the opposite side. And it will draw the solder in when it's good and ready. There we go. Before you move it much. I'm going to put the heat shrink tubing over it. And I have a heat gun. Heat up the heat shrink tubing. You probably could use a torch or probably even a lighter to do this, but a heat gun probably will work best. It's going to last a lot longer this way. You won't get any corrosion in there between the connections. So it takes a little bit more time. I think it's worth it, but you don't necessarily have to do it that way. Okay, unfortunately it's gotten dark out here in the land of cold and darkness, but we're gonna plug in the radio before we finalize everything. We just want to verify that everything works. Alright, here is the radio. It appears that it works.